hours, maybe. GamerGate, everything was a major source of drama for like two hours.
That's the thing. Like, there was so much shit going on. I don't know all the stuff that happened.
Oh.
I was off in my little corner at that point, probably going, y'all have fun over there fighting and trying to own one another. I actually want to see real accountability showing up. And I mean, I was the only one I think that was right in the whole mess, because I was like, they're fucking hiding all kinds of shit. And then Schreier, what was his name? Jason Schreier or whatever.
Yeah.
Comes out and says, yeah, I knew all along about the Blizzard allegations. Like, fuck you then, Jason.
Wait, he knew about it and he didn't say anything?
Yes, he came out. He came out like when the whole thing came out. Said, yeah, I've known about it for years, but I just never did an article on it. I'm like, I wonder why not. Oh yeah, it's because you would have lost your access. I was like, that was the whole point. That was the whole point of GamerGate. That was the whole point. That all you scumbags are covering up for your friends and letting scummy things happen behind the scenes and not actually doing your work as a journalist. That was the whole point. And you fucking just proved it.
Could you like DM me that actually? Because I actually want to see that. I remember he kept saying like he I don't know if he said he knew or he had suspicions or he tried to follow up on it, but he was never able to get concrete proof. And I think all of us kind of suspected he was lying through his teeth about that. But at the same time, like, I'd like to see like documented proof or something, because I want to read that.
Not offhand, but I am linking in chat the Jason Schreier stuff, the thread that's on Reset Error, and
I'll pull that up.
a link to the actual tweet, that screenshot of the tweet where he actually said he knew about it for years from his own account, like not like rumors. He literally said it himself on his own account.
Yeah, I'm reading that stuff now. Thanks for linking it, by the way.
No problem. But yeah, he basically came out and admitted it straight up.
I guess if we're linking stuff, I'm also gonna link the channel of that Ukraine guy I mentioned.
Yeah, totally. That's 100% cool. What? Jason Schreier, I don't go off just rumors and anecdotes. What? July 2021. I don't think there were any GamerGate cretins left in July 2021, bro. I'm pretty sure all of us had moved on by that point. We're living rent free in this guy's head. Heard rumors, could never corroborate enough for an article for various reasons that happens. Was this unrelated stuff? Hang on. Truth is, I've heard several stories about sexism and sexual misconduct at Blizzard over the past few years. Needless to say, we'll be reporting more on this. If you work or worked at Blizzard and would like to share your story confidentially, at his email. Okay.
Yeah. To be fair,
also that's not doxing because it was public. It was on Twitter, so.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
To be fair, I think he did an interview with the guys on the channel Skill Up, and they asked him about this, and I actually didn't watch it because I'm kind of past caring at this point, but he did kind of address it in an interview, so that might be worth watching if you want to know more
about the Schreier stuff.
Well, Schreier himself did an interview with Skill Up, and I think the guys at Skill Up had asked him about what he said he knew, and I didn't watch it, but just kind of based on the comments I skimmed through. He basically said he tried to, like, he originally tried to verify it, and he was unable to, or he wasn't able to get good enough sources to verify it.
That's what he said here.
That's what he said. Whether or not we believe it is a whole other thing, but
yeah. I'm sure he was trying so hard.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna say he was or wasn't. Like, I don't know.
He wasn't.
To his credit, he at least like talks about it. Whether or not you believe him is a whole other thing. Like I said, I've kind of stopped caring at this point.
Yeah, I know, because I mean, that's the same way with every journalist. Like they're gonna like
But
that's
you said
journalists,
earlier,
quote unquote, these days.
you said earlier that he didn't want to cut off his access. Where do you have him saying that?
Oh, he never admits to that, but I mean that's what would have happened because that's what happened to every journalist that ever reported honestly on anything the gaming industry ever did. Don't you remember the whole?
Dude, this entire thread's full of banned people, dude. Like that's fucking
Yeah.
reset era, bro. It's like
Yep, I know.
censorous crazy shit, bro. But anyway, sorry.
I know. I just went for the first source that was the had it. 'Cause I'm just looking through it. To
No, it's not bad.
try and catch it because I don't want to go through all of his old tweets and go digging through and be like, where is it all? But essentially, anyone who reported anything lost access. That's why he didn't dig into it deeply, because if he was, it's all about a power thing, right? Like he was the best known journalist, and even he doesn't really do too many argumentative articles unless he has a complete upper hand on whoever he's writing about, right? And so because also they don't have to cut off access because it wasn't I'm trying to remember who it was that was cut off for his bad review.
No, that's definitely a thing in the industry, and that's obviously something that we should be opposed to. But like, I'm not gonna go out there and say like, oh, JasonSchreier, we 100% know that's why he did this. Maybe it is, or maybe he just didn't have enough evidence. Like, you can't publish a story like that if you don't have proof, right? Like, if you're actually being ethical, like, you can't go out there if you don't have people willing to go on the record. Like, dude, you can't because otherwise you're just, one, you could get sued, and two, you don't know if it's true or not. So I wouldn't say there's anything wrong about waiting until you see evidence.
Yeah, I just go by with precedent. Is all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's fact that it's what it was. I'm saying like that's the whole reason why he didn't do it. Like it's the clearest reason. Because if he was really a journalist and he had actually heard real stories about people suffering under Blizzard, especially all the stories they had, like one woman committing suicide over it, like. You hear that, you would think as an ethical journalist, you're going to dig into that story until you find the truth of it, right? If someone dies because of harassment on their job, why is that not a mainstream story? If you had any hint of that,
yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but like obviously, if he thought there's something to the story, he probably should have like talked to his bosses and seen about getting if they can get like a team going to investigate this, like a real investigative journalist. But I swear, dude, like that shit, I swear, like there's no money in that. People feel like there's no money because you're spending so much to investigate something, and like I feel like that's a major problem actually. Like nobody invests in like real investigative journalism. They just like fucking post fucking articles. Everyone only reads headlines these days. Shit.
Yep.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, it's kind of a separate topic, so I don't want to move on to it if you were still discussing the last one.
No, we can move on.
Go ahead.
If you're done.
Okay. Well, I was gonna say someone made an interesting point that like 20 years ago, when gaming was still a niche thing, and journalism was more of or games journalism specifically was more of a passion thing. Like games studios would be thankful to have their games highlighted in the media and stuff like that. But now, 20 years later, it seems like the growth of games has kind of outpaced the growth of games media. So now you have this situation in reverse where instead of game studios being or needing the support of games media, you have the reverse where games media need the support of studios. Otherwise, like they're not going to have any material to cover. They're not going to have review copies that they're going to get blacklisted from studios, which is really kind of messed up if you think about it.
Well, you bring up something that is interesting because I listened to part of an old debate with a helicopter guy, and I don't know, man. I want to talk about this, but we also got 6 minutes supposedly until I think we got time. Fuck, but which one was it, dude? Which debate was it? Oh, fuck. Helicopter guy made this specific point about the enthusiast press, and I want to try and find it.
Well, what are you looking for? I mean, it's true but it's also where the money went because back in the day when those magazines were being made, those magazines were ad supported and were making more money than the games industry was at that time, because the games industry, like I say, was niche. So it was only really hobbyists that had computers. You didn't really have like it being so present in everyone's life. Not everyone had a home PC. It was an expensive hobby. And so, yeah, like it was something that was very exclusionary. And then when consoles came out, it got less exclusionary, but still it was one of these things where these consoles are seen as kids' toys and they're not really being taken seriously. So these companies aren't making the millions and billions they make now when they sell games. So it's one of those issues where the power shifted where the money shifted. Now, gaming press is struggling for ad revenue, and that's the only revenue they ever had. And so they desperately need that access to get exclusive, so they get more clicks on their stuff than the next paper over. And so, yeah, that's what ends up happening. The power shifted when the money shifted.
But yeah, Helicopter Guy was making this point, and honestly, if he wants to come on and talk about this sometime, that'd be freaking awesome. But I don't remember, because there were two debates on John Kelly's channel that had Helicopter Guy on it, and I don't remember which one it was. And like one was 2 hours and one was like 7 hours. So I'm like, I really don't want to go through all of this to find this fucking point. But but anyway, the point he was making was, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, but the point he was making is that when you have an enthusiast press, whether that's like music or video games, or it's like a niche press where they're covering, a heavy metal website or heavy metal magazine that's covering heavy metal bands, there's always going to be a degree of incestuousness between the bands and the journalists, quote unquote, and that's to be expected, and that really there's probably nothing too horribly wrong with that, as long as the audience sort of like understands that that's what's going on. That the guy who's covering it for, covering the heavy metal band for heavymetalmagazine.com or whatever, is probably way in bed with these people. And that's just sort of something that's always going to naturally happen when you have an enthusiast hobby press. And that's probably not great, but whatever. It's not the end of the world. We're talking about a hobby. It's probably not too horrible.
Yeah, but the thing was, for example, like the music press, none of them ever shied away from the controversies the musicians had. Like they would try and cover them to some degree, and it was up to the public to kind of react accordingly.
Yeah. Hey, Char, what's up?
Hello.
Hey, I'm not sure if you were following before you jumped on what we were talking about, but
I did not. I was not. No.
we were. You won't believe it. We're talking about GamerGate, but we could totally change the topic. We were talking about Helicopter Guy and his debate. One of his debates a long time ago. A point he brought up. I wanted to see what everyone thought of it. But we can talk about that, or we can jump right in to the transgender debate. It's our conversation. It's up to you.
Okay. You can keep on talking. Finish the thoughts now.
Okay. Did anyone else?
Oh, we can move on, because I mean you have to understand, we went out here vamping for the stream. We went out here like finding topics to talk about, because I mean, ideally this was all to be about that debate. So I just was out here going, yeah, we can talk about this stuff. So, but no, by all means, move on to the more important debate rather than gaming press being idiots.